So on 32, the easiest thing to start with is Z. Because it's next to a right angle means it has to be a right angle. Now you have two triangles to worry about. What do all the angles have to add up to equal in the triangle? 180. If I take out 90, what am I left with? Which means these two have to add up to 90, and these two have to add to 90. So you get 36, 38. Does that make sense? What else we got? Which one? 21? Thursday. I know it seems like it's been like a year and a half since we've had a class. Again, when you get to ones like these, didn't I show you guys the best place, figure out the best place to start with this one? Yeah, we did. Yeah, I'd start here because we know it goes to 32, so I think it's what, 58? And then you get the supplement. We know that this has to be 90. These two are 180. And then when you get this all the way through, you get D last. Okay. Does that vaguely ring a bell? Okay. What was the other one? Or something on that? You dying? Thank you for saving me. Messing with you. Couple of things you can do. Angle 3 is an exterior angle, isn't it? Means it has to equal the sum of the two it doesn't touch. So what's 45 and 47? 92. This is its supplement. 88. 19, I believe. Is that 19? Yeah. Super excited. I sense that you're not really pleased. Make sure your name's on it, send it up, and we'll talk a little bit about the quiz and stuff coming up.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Real quick. Real fast. You guys owe me that 3.2 worksheet thing. And then that page 175. Oh, sorry, 3.3. Thank you. Yeah, the bad audio. Plus, you guys were able to figure that out without listening to it because it wasn't really all that hard. One of the things I did find out that there was... So tomorrow, here's what we got, guys. We have a quiz tomorrow. What we're looking at are basically, was it 3-1 through about 3-5? But in all honesty, we didn't really spend a whole lot of time in 3-4. One of the reasons that we didn't spend a lot of time in 3-4 was because if two lines are parallel, and this angle is a right angle, what do you know about all the angles? They're all right angles. So did I need to waste a day doing that? No. So that's basically all what 3.4 was. So what we'll be on is 3-1 through 3-5. So the majority of that was, well, 3-1 we talked about some definitions, whether your lines were skew, parallel, things like that. Then we talked about 3-2 and 3-3 were all about angle pair relationships. When we're talking, it's, just leave it on my, yeah, that's fine. When we're looking at that 3-2, 3-3 stuff, that's when we were talking about all the different angle pair relationships. And when we had those, there were only 4 of them. When we had 3-2, 3-3, the angle pairs, you had corresponding, alternate interior, alternate exterior. Ladies and gentlemen. And then consecutive interior, which sometimes they call it same side. I try to use consecutive all the time. I know that the textbook uses same side. Consecutive is the more mathicant term, if you will. What I mean by mathicant means it's the more, it's a proper way of saying it. And we talked about, actually just last hour they talked about that too. We don't write 2x as x2, we write it as 2x. When we have the square root of 12, we know it's 2 root 3, but we don't write it as root 3 times 2. There's a proper way to write things out, and that just so happens to be one of the ways. That's one of the things that we do. That's why you'll probably see me call it consecutive interior more often than not. But that's why I always write same side, because the textbook does. Okay? Now, what happened within those two sections was that you could have the angle pairs, but not have the specific congruencies. What I mean is, corresponding angles were still corresponding whenever you had two lines and a transversal. Lines didn't have to be parallel. It just meant that they were on the same position. Okay? So they were like angle 1 and 2. Those guys are in the same spot, same position. Yeah. So same spot, same side. That's the easy way to say it. There wasn't anything fancy about them until those lines became parallel. Once those lines became parallel, then what did we know about those two angles? Very good. They would have been congruent. Same thing with alternate interior. When you have alternate interior, there's no such thing as consecutive exterior. Is there one on there that says consecutive exterior? Yeah. Oh, well, I don't say there's anything. What does it say about it? I didn't realize that she had that on her list.
Same side, but it's basically same side interior. So consecutive interior is basically.
Oh, that just means they're symmetry. I mean, ones that are next to each other are symmetry. It's just like those two. We already know that those. We don't call it that. They would just say they're symmetry. Yeah, I don't bother calling it that way, but yeah. Okay. Alternate interior. Opposite sides on the inside. Really easy thing to remember. Alternate exterior to be opposite sides on the outside. It's kind of nice when that works. And then consecutive interior. Same side inside. And we didn't really do much with them at first, except for, hey, what angle pair do these look like when you draw it out? We didn't really do a lot of math with them until we went ahead and said that the lines were themselves were parallel. Because the moment you introduce the lines being parallel, then basically all bets are off. So you know that when you have two parallel lines with one transversal, then you get 8 angles that are the same. And within those 8 angles, there's generally just 2 different measurements, unless they're 90. Okay. 1/1000. Well, I wouldn't be me if I didn't harass. It's just how I am, so I apologize. Okay. So the moment, can I go to a clean one here? So the minute you get parallel lines, as soon as you got parallel lines, my suggestion was always basically the same. You pick an angle, walk through it with its vertical, switch sides to the alternate interior, and one more vertical. Because basically what happens here, if you look at it, you have two sets of corresponding angles, angles in the same spot on the same side. You've got you got a set of alternate interior, you have a set of alternate exterior. Those four angles will always be the same. Now, when I did that is that if this angle happened to measure 123 degrees, that meant that every other angle had to be 123 because it had a tick mark. Now, if all four of those angles are 123, that means all four of those angles that don't have a tick mark have to measure out to be 57, I believe. And no matter what, if those guys don't have tick marks, those would all be the same. So if they had one tick mark and they didn't have a tick mark, they would always be supplementary. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I've never been one to be able to draw a good arrow.
You should probably color that in.
What? I didn't mean to yell at you like what, but you're like you're gonna yell at me too for something. For once, I'm gonna agree with them. I don't know. That's weird to draw towards. Easier to draw away. Are you left-handed?
I am.
You probably draw it the other way.
An arrow.
Yeah.
I'm serious. That's what an object is. That's why
I don't know. What's that? I think it's just because I'm right-handed. I'm going that way.
I read it that way.
I'm done arguing with you. I tried to say that with a straight face and it didn't work. I don't know. I'm quirky.
Or if you draw the arrows, that's wrong. No, that doesn't make sense. Leave it there.
So we did all those angle pairs. Then after that was kind of the reverse of it. So instead of saying if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, all those things happen. Well, if any of those things happen, then you have parallel lines. So it worked going both ways. And then the last little bit was what you guys were working on. Ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Nice. When you had what were called exterior angles. Now, if you have an exterior angle of a triangle, it's the angle on the outside. And what happens is that angle is always going to be equal to what? The two angles that aren't touching it. So the angle on the outside, the exterior angle, is always going to equal the sum of the two angles it does not correct. Okay.
What's that?
No. It's equal to those two. Here. Okay. Now, the reason that this works you guys okay if I label them like that? Watch what happens. We know that A plus B is 180. Okay with that? We know that B plus C plus D is 180. You okay with that? Yeah, that's C right there. Very good. So
Where'd you get B from? Did you try?
I have A and B here. Now watch what happens. Are these two the same numbers? So what you can do is we use something called substitution. I know that A plus B has to equal B plus C plus D, since they're both equal to 180. Do you see anything that's the same on both sides?
Take away
Isn't that the exterior angle is equal to the sum of two? It doesn't touch. That's why it works. That makes sense? That's why that works.
smart team.
I have made a quick little sheet of some review problems, which will take us about 15 minutes to try our way through it. If you'd like to listen to your music while you are doing so, I am fine with that. We'll check these in a few minutes.
She's all usually supposed to be.
All right. So with any luck, angles 1 and 2 are what type? They're corresponding. Angles 1 and 2 would be corresponding. Angles 1 and 2 on 12 would have to be. Very good. Super easy. Now, like we've done this before, when you have to just find the measures of specific angles, if you're given an angle measure, just start making tick marks. Again, what I would do is just go vertical, alternate interior, and vertical. So everywhere I see a tick mark, all those angles have to measure how much? 120. Same thing on the next one. I've got my 105, vertical, alternate interior, vertical. That means that angle 2 would be 105, and angle 1 would be a supplement, 75. Very good. This one's weird. It's kind of tough to see because it's a smaller diagram. I think, honestly, the easiest thing to do here is notice that you've got a straight line. You basically have three angles building it. 118, 25, something. There's a couple ways to go about it. Okay. Now, if you create a straight line, what do those three angles have to have equal in this case? 180. So I take the 118 and the 25, add them together, and you get 143. Subtract that from 180, and you're left with 37. Okay. Now, on the other angle, if you get rid of all this junk in the middle, bless you, get rid of all this junk in the middle, and think of this as a 118 here, these lines are parallel. This has to be also 118. Again, the reason that that works is because those guys have to be corresponding. Find the value of x that makes the lines parallel. Well, match them up. They have to be alternate interior, which means they have to be congruent. 3x plus 5 is 65. 3x is 60. X is 20. Same deal on the next one. Match them up. They don't match with tick marks, which means they have to be supplementary. So you add the two together and set them equal to 180. Or what some people do is find the supplement right away, which means that 2x plus 10 is 50. It's another way to do it. It works the same. And you should still get 20. Subtract 10, cut it in half. Not too bad?
This is very.
Huh? How'd you set yours out? Oh, they can't. Here's one I was talking about that you have to kind of be careful with the angle pairs. If 1 and 9 are the same, if those two are congruent, they wind up being corresponding, which makes lines N and P parallel. Okay. When I go to 3 and 6 adding to 180, that's these two. Well, that has only 2 lines. It doesn't have 2 lines in a transversal. No, very good. There's nothing to do about that. But when I switch to 2 and 3, correct. Those two wind up being consecutive interior. They're on the same side on the inside of the lines, and the lines that they're inside of are L and M. And then lastly, 5 and 11. And the reason is, which angle pair are those? Very good. That gives you N and P again, because they're alternate interior. Yeah. Well, you gotta say which one. Make sure you read carefully. I think it says, use the information to decide which lines, if any, are parallel. Well, I guess it doesn't say specifically. I would say, what lines are parallel, if any? No. Reason is because if you look at it, you're just talking about these two angles. There's only 2 lines that are intersection there. There's no 3 lines involved. Here, these guys are just silly simple. You got 120 on the outside, which means the next angle next to it is its supplement, which makes it 60, which therefore makes this one 60 because this becomes what we call an equilateral triangle. Same deal with the y value. Its supplement is 45, which makes this also 45 because this becomes an isosceles right triangle. These two triangles are the total basis of all trigonometry. Everything that we learned about in Algebra 2, a little bit now in geometry, when we start talking about what's called the unit circle. Everything's based off of 30, 45, 60. In other words, pi over 6, pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, and rotating around the circle. It's good times. It all depends upon those two triangles. And I think that was it. Oh! X plus 2x plus 3x equals 180. So you get 6x is 180. Put that together. Yes, a lot of times you can do that real quick. Same thing with the next one. You get 3x was it plus 15, I believe? Yep, very good. And then the last one you get 57x plus 9, 180. And I believe that was 3, wasn't it? You guys get 3 for that last one? Super easy. Quiz tomorrow, like I said, I think it's maybe 13 questions, 14 questions, something like that. It's real quick stuff. It's a lot of the, what angle pairs, things of that nature, a little bit of algebra thrown in. You draw a picture, that kind of stuff. I did post on the calendar another review sheet that I'll have you guys work on for the evening. Obviously, if I can pull it up real quick. click on it. Yeah, if you go to the calendar on today's date, obviously, because it's not tomorrow, figure. There's our little review PDF thing. And it just goes through a bunch of quick questions about what's the angle pairs, solve for x, find the missing angle, things like that. Hey, look, answers to check your stuff with. So, just some extra stuff. The only thing that's not on there is the exterior angle thing. All right.